industrialized, is that even a thing that we ought to be considering? Is something that we need to perhaps have a much more intense conversation about. Yeah, I think there are many questions about which are the specific areas of intervention that we might want to tackle, and where do we start? Again, I think these are elements. I don't have a crystal ball to say let's go here rather than there, but I think if we admit, and it seems to be the case, that there is an economic crisis of sorts, one has to start by asking, and I think this is where also the role of this committee is critical, in beginning to saying, what do we want to achieve as a result of these economic interventions we have? What are we going to protect? And what do we hope to achieve? And I think this is again part of the social contract negotiation. Because if we are saying that, yes, we are in financial trouble, but we are not going to sell all our family jewelry, so that means of necessity that we will take a different tack in trying to meet the deficits that we have. And this is my own sense, is that I think the extent of negotiation of how the pain is supposed to be shared is what is missing, and this is what has been causing the tension. So there has been a decision to impose a certain amount of austerity on Kenyans. Maybe or not is not for me to say, but I think the response of the Kenyans is just saying, no, we reject this attempt to put an austerity on us. It is something that then perhaps needs to make us reflect. As I was preparing for my presentation, I came across a very interesting example of how in South Korea, during the crisis in '97, Korean citizens actually came up and they raised close to $27 billion to give their government. And how did they do that? They went in their banks, they withdrew money to give to they sold their jewelry, and that was because I think there was also the social contract that existed. And the citizens said, okay, we are in this together. So, the old lady sold her earrings and whatever, and they put that into the game, and the government was able to repay its foreign debt, $27 billion, and also push back on the austerity sort of things. Are those options that are available to us in Kenya? It is a function of also the extent to which I think we've been able to agree that there is a problem, and that this problem involves all of us. So I think in a roundabout way, coming to answer that question, what should be prioritized first, what should be prioritized next or last? I think these are elements of a negotiation that has to happen at another level. But it all begins from the immediate question: what do we want to protect, and then what do we want to achieve? In all of this, and I think one thing we also have to reflect upon is that even if we make an intervention today in some of these things, we're not necessarily going to see the result of it tomorrow morning, because cause and effect, they are not closely related in time and space. And this can be frustrating, I think, also for policymakers, because you want, and also the politicians, because you want to tell people, this is what I've done, and see, it's already working. The problems that we are trying to deal with are not necessarily problems that can be fixed overnight. And I think that is something that we all have to acknowledge. And therefore, when we're also making interventions, we need to have the longer term view in addressing some of these problems, because quick fixes will only lead us back into a deeper hole. So, yes, we might say, let us do tax cuts. But if we do not analyze or have not got a good understanding of the nature of the economy and the nature of the holes we are trying to plug, we might end up, as the controller budget said, end up creating bigger holes, because then the resources we are raising are then being invested in other things that are not necessarily generating new resources. Two more points, and then I'll end here, my rather roundabout way. I think the question also, yes, we're making large investments in education and health. I think that there is a critical